Great job. Sounds kick-ass.
What's up, everybody? I'm Guy. You're watching JustBlueFish Watch Reviews, and this is my Sunday with Guys show where I answer some of your questions and comments and just kind of talk about things that are on my mind. And first up, this one from the Watchdog that said, "Great job, sounds kick-ass. Hey, I want to say thanks very much." That's in reference to the clip that you saw at the very beginning, and more specifically, the music. That's all music and a song that I wrote. So if you're into that style of, I don't know, science fiction inspired 80s synthwave music, stick around till the end and yeah, check out the song and the video. I'd appreciate it.
I recently started saving for an Explorer 1 36mm, the new 124270. It'll take 2 to 3 years. I've had the 1861 Speedy twice, an IWC Mark 16, an Omega Aquaterra Black Dial. I sold them all as I still can't find that one do-it-all watch. So would you just enjoy things like Hamilton's, etc., instead of saving for years for a watch that is maybe just a watch?
All right, so that is a lot to unpack. Now I'm going to try to break this down into a couple of different aspects. First, let's talk about whether or not you can just be a one-watch person, because you're sort of asking that question too. You know, should you just have a Rolex Explorer and that's it? Or should you just enjoy some other watches like Hamilton's, etc.? For me personally, and only you can answer this for yourself, but for me personally, I very much could be a one-watch person. If I wasn't doing this YouTube thing and I didn't need to get watches in and out all the time to do videos on, I could very happily own this watch, my Rolex Submariner, and nothing else, and I would be perfectly content with that for basically the rest of my life. So yeah, I mean, only you can answer that for yourself, but I think that probably most people should be able to say, like, yes, I could be a one-watch person. That's, you know, really doable, especially if it's a really good watch, like in your case, a Rolex Explorer. Now, the second aspect of this question is, should you save up for years and years? I think you said 2 or 3 years in order to get that Explorer, or should you just get more affordable watches like Hamilton watches you mentioned, and a couple of Casios that you have? Well, again, only you can answer this for yourself, but I think that if you can afford it, yes, you should save up for 2 or 3 years. Put away $2,500 a year in a fund or a bank account or wherever that you're just using to save up for this watch. Now, again, make sure you can afford it. Make sure that you're paying all your bills. Make sure you're not going into debt. Make sure you're taking care of your, financial responsibilities and saving for retirement. But if all of those things are covered, including having an emergency fund for, if a rainy day comes and you need to pay for something, if all of that stuff is covered and you can still put away $2,500 a month, $2,500 a year, I'm sorry, not a month, a year, if you can put that away and then in 2 or 3 years buy your watch, by all means, do that. I think that if you just settle, and quote unquote settle, I mean, Hamilton watch isn't just settling. They're great watches. I've talked about them ad nauseum on my channel and talked about how much I love them. But if you do just settle for something that isn't your grail, isn't what you really want, then you're probably just never going to scratch that itch and you're never going to be completely satisfied. And let's be fair. If you do get a Rolex Explorer and you decide like, oh, I should have just went with more affordable watches, I'd have been just as happy with a Hamilton and a couple of G-Shocks, you can sell that Rolex Explorer, get most, if not all of your money back, and go down the Hamilton road later. There's nothing that says you're committed to this course of action, so keep that in mind as well. I would say overall, yes, if you think that you can be happy with just one watch, and for me personally, I definitely could be, and if you can realistically afford it, plus take care of everything else in your life, then do it. Go down that road and find out if that is the right answer for you.
How many in the comments will be triggered that he's wearing an Apple Watch in this video?
Now, yeah, somebody noticed in my last, it wasn't technically on Sunday, but Sunday with Guy video, that I was wearing this watch. It's a Apple Watch, series, whatever the current one is, 7, I guess. Yeah, I've been wearing this watch a lot, and it's something that I am going to discuss in a future video, probably in the next week or so. Going to be talking about why I'm wearing this watch right now, and to be honest, why I've been wearing it a whole lot more than this watch, my Rolex Submariner. I have been, on the Apple ecosystem for quite a while. I have iPhones, I have iPads, I have a Macintosh computer, which I do all my video editing and all my work on, and I have an Apple Watch. I really like their products, and I have really learned how to integrate a smartwatch and specifically an Apple Watch into my life in a way that has made things better and made things more convenient. Does that mean I don't wear my other watches anymore? No, it doesn't mean that. But like right now, I have a timer running on this watch because my camera can only record for 30 minutes before it stops. So it's easy for me to, just glance down and say, oh, we've been filming now for 9 minutes and 45 seconds. I've only got 20 more minutes before I got to get up and restart the camera. There's a million little things that I can do with the Apple Watch that I can't do with a regular watch. And yeah, my Submariner does have a elapsed time bezel. I could time something on my Submariner, but the point is that I can time stuff on this and 100 other things on top of it. So it really creates a lot of convenience in my life. Anyway, I have a future video coming out shortly, probably in the next week or so, talking about why I love my Apple Watch so much, talking about how I compare it to more traditional mechanical watches or even quartz watches like this Casio A168, and why I've been giving it so much wrist time. So I hope you're interested in hearing about that. Stay tuned. It will be soon.
Being a watch enthusiast isn't about having expensive watches. It's about having cool watches, and this $20 watch is definitely cool.
Speaking of my Casio A168, this is a comment from Randy over on the JustBlueFish Watch Club Facebook group. And if you're on Facebook and you want to join my Facebook group over there, there'll be links down in the description. You should hop on over and join up. There's a couple thousand of viewers and fans of the channel over there that post pictures and talk about watches. So if that's something you'd be into, link down below. That said, Randy says that, it's not all about having expensive watches. It's about having cool watches. And this is a really cool $20 watch. And I wholeheartedly agree. 99%. This watch, the Casio A168 in particular, has one fatal flaw, and that's that the bracelet is an absurdly aggressive hair puller, at least on my arms, which aren't even the hairiest of arms. But it is an absolutely super cool watch, as most Casio watches are. I'm a huge fan of G-Shocks, as anybody that watches the channel knows. I just like Casio watches in general. And yeah, you don't need a giant collection of expensive watches to enjoy watches and enjoy the watch collecting hobby. A $20 Casio is a great start, and it's a great finish to any collection.
Do you store your sub in the original box, or do you use a watch roll for ease of access?
So here's a question about watch storage, and where do I store my Submariner? I do not store it in its original box. I keep the Submariner in, I guess it's like, I don't know what you would even call it. It's not a watch box. It's not a traditional watch box where you can put the watch on a pillow and it's got multiple slots. It's a large, relatively shallow box with a glass top that comes off. And I keep a couple of watches in there and a few other items as well. And I just set that on my nightstand bedside table thingy. I don't use a traditional watch box, and I don't use the box that the Submariner came in. I keep all of my paperwork with the Submariner in that original box, and I keep that stored away for, safekeeping. In the event that I ever need to sell the watch, I want that box and all the papers and everything to be in as good of condition as possible. Going in and out of it all the time to get my watches out of their original boxes would cause undue wear and tear. It's not something that I would really recommend. So yeah, you could do a watch roll. You could do a traditional watch box that has multiple slots. Or in my case, it's, like I said, just kind of a display box. A nice, shallow little box with a glass top that comes off. And, you can store all kinds of odds and ends in there as long as it's nothing too tall or too thick. That works for me really well. And, that's what I suggest.
What's the point of reviewing something no one can afford?
What is the point of reviewing something nobody can afford? I mean, that's pretty silly. Yes, the watch in question in that video, the Singer Track 1 chronograph, is a very expensive watch, tens of thousands of dollars, without a doubt. Not a lot of people can afford it, but certainly not no one. And why do we review those types of watches on this channel? because they're cool. They're cool to see something that you might otherwise have never been exposed to, even if you have no intention of buying it. I mean, I have no intentions of buying a Singer Track 1 for, 5 figures. That would be just completely crazy for someone like me. But I still like seeing it. I still appreciate the watch. I still appreciate watches like that. I like being exposed to new and different things. I like sharing those things with you guys. So, yeah, that's why. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that complicated of a concept, does it?
I have a collection of 5 watches. Total value if I sell, $45,000. For someone to have a watch collection comprising of watches of $200 to $500 is a joke.
And speaking of people that can afford watches like that, apparently this guy is one of them. He says he's got a collection of 5 watches that totals in value of over 45K. So there you go. There's the type of person that's going to potentially be interested in a watch like the Singer One Track chronograph for tens of thousands of dollars. That said, I wholeheartedly disagree with the second half of this gentleman's comment that having a watch collection comprising of watches in the $200 to $500 range is a joke. That's absolutely bullshit. Having one or more watches that costs even under $200 is still a worthwhile investment if that's what you enjoy. And bottom line is that's all that really matters. If a person is having fun and they enjoy the watches that they're collecting and the watches that they're wearing, value doesn't matter in the least. To look down on somebody, to mock somebody because they haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars on watches is, I don't know, what's the right word for it? Just being a dick, I guess. And yeah, I don't have any time for that.
Do you own any nice watches? And if so, do you enjoy them?
So this is kind of a weird question. I don't know. It feels like it comes a little bit out of left field, but do you own any nice watches and do you enjoy them? I mean, here's my Rolex Submariner. I think this is a pretty nice watch. And here's my Casio A168. I think this is a nice watch too. This watch was $20. This watch is $10,000. I own a few other watches that fall in between that price range. What's your definition of a nice watch? As to whether or not I enjoy them, well, I think they're all pretty nice. And yes, I enjoy them. But, what does that mean? Like, I enjoy lots of things. I enjoy music and making music and playing music and guitars and keyboards. And I enjoy technology like Apple Watches and iPhones and iPads and software. And I enjoy cars and driving around a little bit too fast. I enjoy all kinds of things. I don't think that any of those things that I enjoy define me or define my life. The things that are important to me are things like my friends and my family, my wife, I don't know, my cat. Those are the things that really matter. None of this stuff matters. It is all just stuff. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird question, but hopefully that answers it. Do I have any nice watches? Yeah. I think I have a couple of nice watches, and I do enjoy them, I guess.
Grossly oversized compared to the Casio, which is the same water resistance and has solar charging.
Man, the Seiko Arnie, the SNJ025. I want to love that watch so much, and in a lot of ways, I really do love that watch. But it is huge, at least for me. My wrist size is only 6.5 inches or thereabouts, and just looks ridiculous when I wear that watch, but it's such a cool watch. It's got the Arnold Schwarzenegger connection. He wore that similar watch in movies like Predator and Commando. Of course, he had the original, and this is a reissue or a remake. Ironically, the original was smaller than this current SNJ025 model. It's a shame that they didn't just recreate it at the same proportions, because other than that, I think it's an amazing watch and I absolutely love it. But it is, like you said, grossly oversized, at least for me, and for most people with wrist sizes under 7, maybe 7.5 inches.
You're bald, like me.
Okay, I guess. Thanks for noticing. I don't really know what to say about that, but you're right. I am bald. I lost my hair a long time ago. I've come to terms with it. It's not that big of a deal. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and play that music video and that song that I wrote, and stick around for a few minutes, listen to it, and tell me what you think. It's not the greatest song in the world. I'm not going to win any awards for it, but I think it turned out pretty good, personally, for someone that's, not a full-time professional musician. Anyway, That said, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for your comments, questions, and everything else. And until the next one, I'll catch you later.
I don't recognize this place. How long was I out there? Now, how many different ways do you want me to tell the same story? You're going out there to destroy them, right? To wipe them out.
That's the plan. Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right, I'm in. I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.